This is Maggie, which is the latest step in Arnold Schwarzenegger's path.
Very different, though, isn't it, for Arnie?
Well, it is. It's the kind of film that you're glad that he's done. And I think my big problem with Maggie is that it has an incredible amount of promise that it doesn't deliver on. You know, this is Schwarzenegger. He's not playing an action hero. He's playing the father. It's a kind of a near future, David, familiar territory for you, after a zombie apocalypse. So you have zombies ravening around the countryside. His daughter Maggie, who's played by Abigail Breslin, is away from home at some point. She's in the city and she gets bitten by one of them. And Arnie's character goes out to track her down. And the film kind of begins with him rescuing her and bringing her home. Obviously, it's too late. She's been bitten. And now the idea is that he's going to make her last few weeks on Earth as a non-zombie as kind of easeful as possible. And here's a clip where they reconnect.
You spent 2 weeks out there looking for me?
Yeah. I made a promise to your mother that I will protect you.
Yeah, but what about you guys? What if I hurt you?
Don't worry. Caroline and I, we know the precautions.
You shouldn't have brought me back.
So that's a clip there. I mean, the USP for this film, which is very different from, obviously I form in this area with The Walking Dead, is that you have quite a bit of time. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks before you actually turn, don't you? That's the premise of the film.
Yes, that's right.
So you're infected and you have this not limbo period, but this period where you can say goodbye to your family and there's a scene where she goes out with her friends and there's her and this other boy who's also infected sitting around a campfire with their friends talking about it. There seems to be, it's about terminal illness, really.
It is. It's absolutely 100% not a zombie film. It's a film about terminal illness, like a terminal illness drama, like something like Still Alice, which was out last year, a terrific film with Julianne Moore, where it's about coming to terms with the fact that your own body is letting you down, and the people around you coming to terms with the fact that you're not going to be around forever. The spin on it is that it's zombiehood that's the encroaching problem.
But you're infectious as well.
But you are infectious. And the other problem, of course, is that when you finally turn into a zombie, you become a danger to your family. And there's this cut-off point, when is Arnie going to send his daughter into quarantine? I keep calling him Arnie. The character's name is Wade. When is he going to send his daughter into quarantine to basically be kind of euthanized? Can he do that? Is it going to be kinder for him to do that at home? So these are the kind of issues that the film is wrestling with. I think that is, in theory, an incredibly interesting setup. And the film kind of manages to fulfill it on one occasion. And that's when Abigail Breslin's character, she wakes up in the morning and one of her fingers has already basically necrotized. And she's so appalled at the idea that her body has betrayed her in this way that she goes into the kitchen and finds a very sharp knife and gets rid of the finger. Now, that's a horror beat, that's body horror, and it's kind of grim, and there's all the kind of blood and viscera that you would expect from that. But it tells you something about having a terminal illness that a non-horror-based terminal illness film wouldn't have necessarily been able to do, because it's that kind of visceral revulsion at what the body's doing and the ways in which it's letting you down. If the film had managed to unite the horror and the drama this successfully all the way through, then it would have really paid off. This for me was the one occasion on which it really worked. And
I disagree, because I really liked the film. I thought there's a few, I was the opposite. I thought there was a few false beats, but on the whole, I thought it was really successful. I thought the atmosphere of the film is wonderful. The false beat for me slightly is Arnie himself. I feel that, having him at the centre of this film, and I think obviously there's a financial implication to that, and the budget was probably secured on him, but he doesn't sit well in the film for me.
Well, he's working with a first-time director here, a guy called Henry Hobson, who I think's done some music promos, but he's not made a feature before. And the idea, this is basically Schwarzenegger searching for a role like Stallone managed with Copland back in the, when was that, late 90s, early 2000s, where he's trying to work out a dramatic purpose for this bulk the physical bulk that the actor has that isn't just going around murdering
It's not
people.
just a bulk, though. I mean, I think the difference between Stallone is he is an American. You can put him in the middle of America and you believe him as an American man. This is a character called Wade. He's in the Midwest. He's a farmer, and you don't. Personally, I'm not buying that part of the film.
What's slightly exasperating about it is they could have just changed his first name and it would have explained away the accent.
It's more than that, though. It's more about his emotional depth through to carry the film. I think everybody around him, Jolie Richardson is wonderful, Abigail Breslin is just sensational, and the supporting cast as well. There's two cops who I think are fantastic. But the atmosphere of the film, it's quite a slight story, I have to say.
It's quite a non-existent story, I think. Basically, from her arrival at home, it's just this kind of constant coming to terms with what's happening.
But from an atmosphere point of view, it really got me. It's important to say it's not a jump scare movie. It's not, it's
no,
not
as I say, it's not a horror film at all.
It's not, there's a deep sadness in the film, which I really responded to. I think it's, I liked it much more than you. I think it's the director, the way it's shot, the way it's put together. I was really knocked out by it, and she's sensational. I think there's times in her performance which are really heartbreaking.
I kind of feel that Abigail Breslin is she's an actress who's not yet kind of been given a role,
What's she done
a vehicle
before?
for her talents. Goodness, all sorts of different stuff. She's off the top of my head now, I've just completely gone black. But she's appeared.
That's my inexperience.
There you go. She's appeared in a lot of different films.
Throwing a question like that
are not necessarily great showcases for her talent. I think you can see flickers of stuff here that she should, that prove that there's more for her to give. My issue with the direction, it's funny that you say you find the film so sad. I think a lot of the sadness just takes place kind of hermetically sealed away on screen. You have the house that Maggie is taken back to by Wade is incredibly gloomy. I mean, everything in it is brown and grey and horrible.
Well, it's in the middle
dusty.
of a zombie apocalypse. You're not going to be in the White Company in the middle of that.
Sure. But the problem with that is that that's not sad. That's just gloomy. And there's no kind of sense that by coming back to this home, she's actually receiving any kind of sense of resolution with her relationship with her father and with her stepmother. There's very little light cutting through the gloom. And for me, with a film like this, you need to have that texture and that variation in emotions in order to kind of prove the point of it, which is that life is ultimately valuable. And you sense the value of it most when it's just ebbing away.
But it's set in a world that is being destroyed, isn't it? You feel like they're having to burn their crops. There is that apocalyptic sense around it. What I loved about it was the fact that, in this period that you have, which is the saying goodbye period, or the period where you can, be with your family for that little convalescence before you're taken off. There's Jolie Richardson, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger's second wife. They have two kids together, and she very gently removes them from the family home because they don't want to be in danger. But there's a real Jolie's performance. You feel that she could have turned into this shrew woman, but every time she runs towards this girl, it surprised me. You thought she would be running away from her, and I love those beats. I thought it was really well handled.
Yeah, so this is it. But it's every time. It's like you say. It's every time she runs towards the girl. There's this kind of plainness of tone throughout it, and there just needed to be more kind of emotional variation there.
When the Culture Show first started, I did a report about the rise of computer graphic animation, in which we had hand-drawn animators worrying that actually their art form was going to be lost, but quite the opposite has happened.
I'm sorry, this was the point at which I started going, then comrades come rally. Sorry, okay? As for the rest of them,
What was that?
That's the Internationale.